Hey, my name is Ben, and this is Board Game Dad. This is a very special video because today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite Father's Day board games. Now, what I mean by that are family board games, but games that are a little bit more involved, maybe just a little bit more complex, something to excite the board game dad in your family. Now, um, those kinds of games are going to be games that are just a little bit more, have a little bit more bite to them, a little bit more to sink your teeth into than my family board games. So, if you want to take a look at some more family board games or board games for younger kids, I actually already have a video about that, which you can check out. I'll put a link in the description. Today is going to be about special gift ideas for board game enthusiast father. That being said, if you're watching this live and you have any recommendations, go ahead and leave them in the comments. And if you're not watching this live, then you can also check out this video on my personal web app, theperfectboardgame.com, where you can watch the video and read reviews and check out characteristics about all of the games that are mentioned in the video. I'll put a link in the description after this video is complete and posted. So I've got 10 games for this video. And starting off at number 10, I wanted to put something that was thematically rich. So I recently did a video, top 10 thematic board games, and I looked at those, and while I thought they were all excellent games, they have a little bit too much going on for me to play with my kids. And my kids are uh, 5 and 7, but soon to be 6 and 8, in fact, this month. So they can't really play any of those games, so I was looking for something that was thematic and approachable, at least for my 7, soon to be 8-year-old. And the game that I came up with is called there we go. Dinosaur Island. There we go. Dinosaur Island. So here's the thing with Dinosaur Island. This is not a very hard game to understand. The idea of the game, it's basically Jurassic Park, the movie. Players are competing to have a successful dinosaur park. And they do this by unlocking DNA that's been preserved in amber, like mosquitoes, just like the Jurassic Park movie. And as they collect DNA, they can build dinosaurs in their park and build locations in order to increase the excitement level and bring in visitors and then make some money, and hopefully the dinosaurs won't break free and eat any visitors. And the way you protect park visitors is by increasing your security level. So this is a lot of resource management. It sounds really complicated, and the thing about the game is it actually has a lot of mechanics. There are several phases. The first part of the game is a worker placement part, and you're trying to draft DNA and dinosaur blueprints. And then you have a market phase where you're buying add-ons for your park. And then you have a park phase where you're using the workers within your park in order to improve it. So there's a lot going on, and it feels like a game with lots of different mechanics. It seems a little overwhelming, and for that reason, I don't think this game is necessarily the most elegant game I've ever played. In fact, I see some flaws, I think, in its design, but nevertheless, I can't deny that I think that the theme really comes through, and it's actually not very hard. You can play this game, maybe the dinosaurs, if you're playing with your kids, maybe the dinosaurs break out and they eat the visitors, and so you're not getting as many victory points. But I think for kids that can be really fun. There is kind of an abstractness about the DNA, though, because you've got like pink DNA and green DNA and purple DNA, and it doesn't really mean anything. There's 6 types of DNA for different dinosaurs, and it kind of bored my daughter a little bit. She didn't like the DNA aspect of it. So I'm looking at this one. I think it's very exciting. It's certainly exciting if you've got kids that are into dinosaurs. but I still kind of feel like there's something that might do a better job of scratching that itch. I'm really looking for a better recommendation. I want a good thematic game that you can play with your kids. So if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments. This is what I've got so far, Dinosaur Island. So let's go to number 9. So number 9, this is interesting. Number 9 is a game, I said that these were my favorite games. This is actually the first game I've ever recommended that I haven't actually played. I find this game intriguing because the theme is so fun. It is so accessible. But the thing is, it's not really for my family. I know it's not going to go over with my kids. It's really, if you play video games, if video games are big in your household, you're really going to like this. It's called Overboss. And it is a tile drafting and placement game. Basically, you've got kind of the 80s adventure graphics, and what you're getting is you're building a boss dungeon for your little, video game boss dungeon. And each tile you place has a special effect, and you're getting points based on what you place it adjacent to. And then you take a little boss monster and you put it inside of the monster layer, and they score points as well. The thing I like about this game, though, is that you cannot play this game wrong. It is so simple. Everyone, all ages, can play this game. Now, not necessarily everyone all ages will be able to win this game, or will everyone all ages be able to count the score, because every tile has its own rules for how it's counted towards the score. But it's really fun to build your little dungeon. I feel like I can describe it. I haven't played it. I haven't played it because I know that video games we're not so into, but I know that a lot of families, dads and their kids, video games, it's a really cool one to take a look at, Overboss. The next one, boom, number 8, is a game that I love a lot. It's called Gizmos. I've talked about this game because I think it's a great recommendation instead of Wingspan. You've probably heard of Wingspan. It's a very, very popular game. One of the issues with Wingspan is there's a lot of reading involved. Gizmos is all symbols, no reading. It is essentially language independent. You have, I'll show you, cards that look like this. They've got a little gizmo on there, and they have some symbols. That one is worth victory points. An earlier card might look like this. And the symbols on the top are the effect of the card. And basically, it's an engine building game, but really easy to play. It has a ton of marbles in it that come through a little marble tower. And it's a very tactile game. A much more streamlined version of what's happening in the game Wingspan. So I think it's a lot of fun. Gizmos. And we'll go to number 7. So, okay. This is a game that is a lot of fun to play with parents and kids, because what happens is inevitably the kids kind of form an alliance against the parents, and the parents can kind of bite back at the kids. It's the game Evolution. This is a competitive, you can look at the back, animal building game. Does that even make sense? An animal building game. You have an animal, and you are playing cards to give the animal traits. So they've got, scavenger and fat tissue and fertile and foraging, and all of the traits that the animal has help it get food. The catch in the game, what makes it so much fun, where kids versus parents, is that one of the traits is carnivore. And when an animal has the carnivore trait, if plant food is hard to come by, the animal can eat another animal playing at the table. So what that means is the kids can eat the parents. You know, they can say, "I'm hungry and I want to eat your little rodent guy, Dad," and Dad can go, "Oh no, don't eat my rodent," and they say, "I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna eat your turtle thing." I mean, it's just a little bit of like take that to it, and what you're trying to do is get your animals to survive by getting enough food and getting some victory points for the traits that they have. I think it's really fun. It's not very complicated. This is a game that would go well with playing with adults, and it's pretty simple rules. The next game is a game that let me switch to 6. There we go. The next game is a game that my kids love. They want to play this game over and over again every single time we take it out. Let's take a look at it. And it's new, too. It's the game Mind Management. So in Mind Management, kind of some weird looking artwork, but this is a secret, what do you call it, hidden route game, I guess. Hidden route. One player is an agent, and they are moving secretly. So they have a screen put up in front of them. And the other players, their objective is to find the agent. And so they have pawns that they're moving around a square grid. And they're trying to locate by guessing with hints where the agent can be. So they can say things like, "Have you been to any fountains?" And if the agent has been to a fountain, they put a little footprint on the map. And if they have a footprint on the map, then the other team can move their pawns to the footprint, and they can say, "Have you, or what time were you here?" And then the agent, writes a little tag that they put onto the board. This is one that has dry erase markers. So they write a little number on there. They put that on the board, and they can say, "Oh, that was the 6th place that they've been." Okay, so they were at this location at time 6, and they could have gone that direction and that direction, but eventually they got to this location at time 12. So, where are they in between? Where is it they're trying to go? It's a lot of deduction, basically. And meanwhile, the agent is still trying to outsmart them and move in unpredictable ways. It's a lot of fun. My kids love being the agent and trying to hide from me. And what's really fun about this game is, even though it's logical deduction, it's fun. This is a game where you can try your hardest and maybe not necessarily beat your kids by finding their location. I do think that when I'm the agent, I can be a little bit more manipulative and outwit them, but as it turns out, the kids love being they love being the agent, and I never get a chance to be the agent anymore. But it's also very new. It's great. It would go excellent with adults. Mind Management. Okay. So, moving to number 5. Number 5 is a game that has I almost skipped. Number 5 is a game that I adapt a little bit, but I think it has such an excellent mechanic. It's the game 5 Tribes. So, 5 Tribes is like Mancala. Oh, hey. Five Tribes has a Mancala mechanic. So you can see on the back that you've got the different meeples. And by the way, if you're just joining me right now, I'm looking for games that are exciting for the board game dad in your family. These are great Father's Day gifts. They're the kinds of games that a board game enthusiast will be able to play with other adults and play with their own kids. So a little bit more involved than just family games. But anyway, we're at number 5, 5 Tribes, and this has a Mancala type mechanic. And so what's happening is, on your turn, you pick up all of the meeples on a little space. So if I was picking up this space, I'd get the 2 white and the blue and the red meeple. And then I would walk around the map, dropping off 1 meeple at every location until I run out of meeples. And then the last one has to land... analysis paralysis. And then the last meeple has to land in a spot that matches the same color. So when it does, the different colors have an effect, and the different locations have an effect too. So there's a lot to think about. Analysis paralysis. Here's the thing about 5 tribes. I have to make an accommodation for this game in order to play it with my daughter, because one of the mechanics is at the beginning of every round, players bid for who goes first. It's way too involved. You're basically having to price out the value of your move, and you can bid. It's not an auction, but you have spaces that you put your worker on, and I think the highest, most expensive space is 18 points, 18 money. That is definitely too much to think about. So when I play with my kid, we just alternate who goes first, and we just do the Mancala things. It simplifies the game. If I'm playing with people who are enthusiasts about the game and they understand everything that's going on, then we can do the bidding. But playing with my kids, no way. It's so much simpler, so much swifter if you're just picking up pieces, dropping them off one by one. And that's why I really like it and why it's high on the list. Okay, number 4. So number 4 is My City. So My City does something that I really appreciate in a lot of the board games I recommend for families. It is simultaneous gameplay. One player is picking up a little Tetris-shaped piece. Oh, and you know what? I should mention, this is technically a legacy game. It comes with envelopes that you open as you play more and more, and the game boards, which look like this, have little stickers on them. You can kind of see it if I tilt it. So little stickers on the board, and as you win or lose, you add more stickers to your game. You write your name in the corner. But anyway, one player picks up a piece, or I guess they flip over a card, and on the card it identifies the piece. I don't know drone, actually. But one player picks up the piece, and then every player takes the same piece and they put it on their map. And what they're trying to do is cover bad spots and reveal good spots, and they get points at the end for how many good spots are revealed and how many bad spots have been covered. And the winner adds a new sticker onto their page to make it harder for them, and the loser gets to make their board a little bit easier. It is very quick, very easy to play. This is one I can play with my 5-year-old, and yet it's fun to play with adults. It's fun to play with my wife, too. So that is number 4. Good. It is a great game. Thank you for joining me, by the way. Okay. Still looking. See, the list is I am very much interested in what other people have in mind, because Father's Day is several weeks away still. So this list is up in the air still. But here's what I got next for the top 3. This is one I was really excited to find. I originally found it on Board Game Arena. It's the game Living Forest. Now, I do feel like this is a little bit more of a family game than a enthusiast board game, but you can try it out on Board Game Arena. It's excellent. What's happening is this is a deck building game, really. The deck that you're building is a deck of animals, and the animals are living in your forest. The effect of the animals is to protect the forest by helping you put out fires, helping you grow trees, or helping you get energy to draw more animals into your forest. And so players are competing in order to get the most victory points from... Well, no, sorry, not most victory points. I misspoke. It is a race to do to get 12 of something. So either you're trying to get 12 fires put out, or plant 12 trees, or get 12 flowers. Flowers are basically a victory point. They're an icon on the animals. But what I like about it is the shifting focus in the game. Depending on how your opponents can play, one strategy can be better than another one. You can play the game in like whoever is the first person to put out the fires wins, because fires come when more people buy cards. So if a lot of people are buying cards, it makes sense to put out fires. If that's not the case, if more people are buying trees, then it might be the best to focus on buying cards, because if not enough people are buying cards, maybe we can get more flowers. Like, there's just a lot of shifting emphasis. You kind of have to read what other people are doing, but it's still not a very combative game. And we've really enjoyed it with our family. So that one is Living Forest. Haha. Okay. Top two. So my number two is a game that I actually put at number 10 on my family list. I put it on number 10 on my family list because I thought it was too hard for families with young kids. But if you're buying it for, again, people who are a little bit more enthusiastic, then about, or more into board games, and it's definitely not too hard. It's something that adults can play and enjoy. But my kids really like it, and it's colorful. It's Via Nebula. So Via Nebula, gosh, it's such a beautiful... I have to show you some of the components for this game. This is basically it's a pick up and deliver game. But what happens is your board, I won't be able to open up the entire board. I can open up half of it. The board is covered in clouds. Am I covering the mic? So you have to reveal a path through the clouds during the course of the game with these little grass hexes. And as a path is revealed, you can pick up resources in the different locations. So they've got these excellent little wooden pieces, little pigs and stones, and move them to your spot so that you can build cards. So like this card is worth 2 victory points, and it takes a brick and a wheat. It's just pick up and delivery. You're just competing to get the resources off the board in order to build the cards. But I love a pick up and deliver mechanic. Well, it's not really you can't really drop off. You just deliver it through the clouds. But I love the pick up and deliver mechanic. I love how seamless the game is, how intuitive the game is. It's really not that complicated. On your turn, you can do 2 actions. There's some great iconography in the game to make it very, very clear. This is one I keep coming back to. It was taught to me by my friend who really introduced me to board games, and he has a larger collection than I have. I mean, this is a game that people who love board games love, and it's a game that goes over well with families too. Now, so interested in Via Nebula. Yes, I love it. And I think it's completely underrated. Oh, look at me. I forgot to update the thing. See? That was number 2. Now, let's go to number 1. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of number 1. I've played it online on Tabletopia, so I haven't even played it with my kids, to be completely honest. But this is a game that I think would be a great gift for a father, somebody who might be interested in adventure themes or D&D themes, but not too complicated, and a really tactile game again, and a really fun game, and a game with great artwork. The game is Role Player, so you can check out a link in the description, or if you're watching this on the perfectboardgame.com, you can check out some pictures of the game. But really what's going on in this one is it's a dice drafting game, kind of like Sagrada. You're picking up dice and you're putting them at a different position on your board, but what's happening, what the dice represent, are building the characteristics but what the dice represent are building the characteristics of a character in a role playing game. So, you know, you're a cleric, uh, dwarf, and you have certain attributes that you're pursuing, you know, and you have certain objectives on your card, and the thing that shapes your character is the strength attribute and the charisma attribute and the dexterity attribute. And so as you build these attributes, you can buy weapons for your character, and these have an effect. And the character has alignment, and you know, in terms of, are you chaotic neutral, or oh man, alignments. Role player. I'm thinking, how is it solo? It's fun. It's a lot of fun solo. If I should, wow, I should really get it, because it would be fun to have solo. I played it solo when I learned it, and then I've played it online on Tabletopia with a few people, and I just find it so well executed. It's not hard. It does have more reading. It's not completely empty of symbols, or sorry, it's not completely devoid of words. Um, but it's a lot more engaging than I think Sagrada is, and I like that you can get items that will have an impact on your opponents. But the theme, it's just such a dad theme. That's really why it's on the top of my list. It's elegant. The components are beautiful. It's easy to teach, and you know what? Kind of like what I said about Overboss. You can't really play it wrong. I mean, you have all of these objectives. You need to get dice. You need to place them in certain positions. You need to satisfy conditions. There's a lot of victory points going on. I mean, you can definitely lose this game, but you can't really misunderstand how the game is played. It's a very, very simple gameplay. It's something that you can play over and over again. It probably takes about 40 minutes. I think it would be a great gift for anybody. And that's why I put it on the top of my list. It's a game that I don't have, but, you know, get it from me. Anyway. So, those are the top 10 that I am currently sort of juggling. You know, I'd like to hear what some of my subscribers think about the games, and if there are any better recommendations. You know, and the one that I'm still sort of like questioning is really the Dinosaur Island. Like, I want a really good thematic game. Well, and role player is actually pretty good thematically. It does feel a little abstract, but anyway, I'm interested to know what other people think of the list, and what kinds of things. If you're a father, right? If you got Father's Day coming up, what's the gift that you want? Just put it that way. What's the game that you would want to play? And it's something it has to be something you would play with your kids. That's the only thing I'm considering on this list. It's the restriction. If it wasn't just games that you could play with your kids, I would just call it 10 great games. But if it's Father's Day game, it's got to be something you can play with the family. I have lots. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to end the video. Mystic Market, great family game. I'm going to be checking out all of these comments and more. So if you want to see what becomes of this,